We all want to achieve greatness, to break free from the ordinary and carve out a legacy that lives beyond us. But there's a silent killer, one that hides in the shadows of our minds and hearts, waiting to sabotage every attempt at progress, success, and clarity. That killer is the ego. It often whispers disguised as confidence, but it is the most destructive force you'll ever face on your journey. It convinces you that you are better than others, that you have nothing left to learn, and that your way is the only way. It pushes you to fight for the spotlight, to demand validation, to seek the applause, but all it does is rob you of the very things you need most: growth, connection, and wisdom. But there is hope. What if I told you that there is a weapon stronger than ego, one that can help you conquer the self-sabotage that prevents you from reaching your full potential? A weapon so powerful, so transformative, that it can reshape your entire approach to success. That weapon is humility. Now, before you dismiss this as just another fluffy self-help suggestion, let me ask you this. Have you ever found yourself unable to take criticism? Have you ever felt your defenses rise when someone offers you feedback? Have you ever been so attached to being right that you closed yourself off from learning something new? That, my friend, is the ego at work. And unless you learn how to tame it, it will continue to destroy your potential. Ryan Holiday, in his book Ego is the Enemy, masterfully explores this concept. He explains that our ego convinces us that we are untouchable, that we are above reproach. It creates an illusion of invincibility, causing us to reject anything that challenges our sense of self. And in doing so, it traps us in a cycle of stagnation and arrogance. The very thing we think will protect us, our ego, ends up being our greatest obstacle. I want to tell you a story of someone who thought they were doing everything right, but who failed to realize that the real enemy was not their circumstances, but the ego within. Meet James, a young, ambitious entrepreneur. James was convinced that he had all the answers. He had started his own company and it was growing quickly. He was praised by his peers and his success seemed inevitable. But despite his growing company, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. He wasn't progressing at the pace he wanted. His team began to falter, his ideas grew stale, and his confidence, once unwavering, began to crack. But the problem wasn't his business model. It wasn't his product or his strategy. The problem was that James had stopped listening. He was too wrapped up in his own ideas, too determined to prove he was right. His ego had convinced him that he had all the answers, and in doing so he rejected feedback, ignored advice, and isolated himself. He thought he was playing it safe, but in reality, he was sinking further into the quicksand of his own arrogance. James's story is not unique. In fact, it is the story of many of us. We believe that the world must bend to our will, that the success we've earned entitles us to unquestionable authority. But the moment we stop listening, we stop growing. The moment we stop learning, we stop evolving. The moment we let the ego take control, we become our own worst enemy. But here's the good news. You don't have to be like James. You don't have to let your ego rule your life. There is a way to fight back. The solution is simple yet profound. It's called humility. Humility isn't about thinking less of yourself, it's about thinking of yourself less. It's about recognizing that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. It's about knowing that you can always improve, always grow, and always learn. The greatest leaders in history understood this. They weren't blinded by the illusion of invincibility. They didn't let their ego tell them they were above anyone else. They were humble enough to listen, to learn, and to grow. And because of that humility, they were able to lead with wisdom, to inspire greatness in others, and to build lasting legacies. Take Abraham Lincoln, for example. Lincoln was a man who knew how to listen. He was not afraid to surround himself with rivals, to invite criticism, and to acknowledge his mistakes. His humility allowed him to evolve, to learn from others, and to make decisions that saved a nation. What about Steve Jobs? Yes, Jobs had a strong vision, but he also recognized the importance of humility. He knew that he didn't have all the answers, and he was open to feedback, to criticism, and to collaboration. His humility, combined with his visionary thinking, made him one of the most successful innovators of all time. So how do you start? How do you fight your own ego and embrace humility as your secret weapon? First, you need to practice listening. This is a simple yet incredibly effective technique. The next time someone offers you feedback, don't react defensively. Don't interrupt. Don't argue. Just listen. Let their words sink in. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Humility begins with the willingness to listen, even when it's uncomfortable. Second, start writing. Every day, write down your mistakes. Write down where you fell short, where you could have done better, and how you can improve. This practice forces you to confront your ego and acknowledge that you are not perfect. It helps you see the areas where you need to grow and pushes you to take action. Third, seek out mentors, not admirers. It's easy to surround yourself with people who tell you what you want to hear, who feed your ego and reinforce your sense of superiority. But true growth happens when you seek out mentors, people who challenge you, who question you, who push you to be better. These are the people who will help you reach your full potential. And finally, start small. Acknowledge when you make mistakes. Don't wait for a major failure to force you to confront your ego. Start with the little things. When you mess up, own it. Take responsibility. And then take action to make things right. Humility is a practice, not a destination. Now I want you to pause for a moment and reflect. Think about a time when your ego got in the way. Maybe it was a moment of arrogance, a time when you refused to listen or learn. Leave a comment below and share your experience. What was the impact of letting your ego take control? And remember, this is just the beginning. The journey of overcoming ego is not an easy one, but it is one that will pay off in every area of your life. It will transform your relationships, your success, and your ability to lead. So let's commit to making humility our weapon. Let's stop letting ego control our future. Let's choose growth over arrogance, learning over stagnation, and humility over pride. The time to change is now. And now, if this woke something up inside you, if it reminded you of who you are and what you're truly capable of, then don't keep it to yourself. There's someone out there right now still living in silence, still drowning in excuses, still waiting for permission to rise. Share this with them. Be the reason they wake up too. And if you're tired of surface-level thinking, tired of the noise, the excuses, the sleepwalking through life, then take your seat. This isn't just a channel. It's a circle around the fire, a place for those who are done being average and ready to rise. Here, we don't just talk about growth, we burn for it. So take your seat at the fire, subscribe, not just to content, but to the mindset, the mission, the movement. Let them scroll, let them sleep. You build empires.